Suit valuation.
No, sir.
It is a very small act consisting of just 12 sections. Suit Valuation Act 1887, and the only relevant sections are section 3 and 4. That is all in this module 3. We will just try to understand what is Suit Valuation Act. However, there should be another act which is known as Court Fee Act. It is not in our syllabus. It should have been there because both these acts, Valuation Act and Court Fee Act 80, 1870, both are complementary. Okay. Anyway, we have to discuss the Suit Valuation Act. So far as the Suit Valuation Act is concerned, you outrightly responded that you have not heard about this. Right, okay. But what will you say if I ask you, what do you know about the pecuniary jurisdiction of the civil court? Because we have to start from there to understand the Suit Valuation Act. We know we have read Civil Procedure Code, and in that procedure there are two types of jurisdiction: territorial jurisdiction and the pecuniary jurisdiction. What is the pecuniary jurisdiction?
Money related.
Money related, only money related. It does not include property,
The,
any
uh,
property, movable property, immovable property.
Basically, if it can be valued in terms of money, then it comes under pecuniary jurisdiction.
What is given in CPC with regard to this? Does CPC explain about the pecuniary jurisdiction in any way?
Pecuniary itself means money, sir.
Okay, that's okay. As the jurisdiction is given CPC, civil jurisdiction is given the CPC. For example, if you talk about the territorial jurisdiction, you will find section 16, 17, 18 up to 20 or 21, 20, where the immovable property is located and where the cause of action took place and where the defendant is, where the plaintiff is, like that. So all these details are given in the CPC with regard to the territorial jurisdiction. But what about the pecuniary jurisdiction?
The section 15.
Sir,
Section
can
section
I,
15. Section 15, right? Section 15.
sir,
What does
sir,
section 15 say?
so I have a suggestion to make, sir. In the law courses, we always go by the sections rather than going by the wordings. So if we go by the sections, then I mean we won't get the concept of the things.
Okay. What is the concept? Okay, don't go by the section. Just explain the concept.
So if you go by territorial jurisdiction, obviously the main point would be relating to the territory. So in terms of territory, then we draw the sections. Similarly, in pecuniary, the immovable property or the property comes second. First comes whether it's related to money or not.
Both are different things. Territorial jurisdiction decides the place of suing, where the suit will be filed. The pecuniary jurisdiction decides in which court this suit should be filed. It is about the court. Territorial jurisdiction means whether this civil suit should be filed in the Guwahati or Dibrugarh. So suppose in the Guwahati there are several civil court. Now you have to decide in which court, in which civil court located in the Guwahati. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
It is,
So won't
it
the
is
cause of action there be counted? There you look at the cause of action, right? Where it happened.
cause of action that is somehow related to the territorial jurisdiction, where the cause of action arises. Anyway, why we are discussing all this? Because suit valuation is somehow related to that. Okay. It is given in section 15. Only section 15. What does it say? It says that every suit shall be instituted in the court of lowest grade, competent to try it. That is all about section 15. And nothing except this, section 15. Nothing is given in the CPC with regard to the pecuniary jurisdiction. So obviously, we require some more act or rules or regulation. Right? Actually, in civil matters, jurisdictions are of two types. Pecuniary jurisdiction. Now, leave the territorial jurisdiction. We are not discussing the territorial jurisdiction. Okay. Even the pecuniary jurisdiction is of two types. First, jurisdiction, pecuniary jurisdiction with respect to the valuation of the suit. The first, the subject matter is valued, valuation of the suit, and after that it is decided in which court this suit should be filed. And second, pecuniary jurisdiction with respect to the court fee. Because civil matters are different from the criminal matters. Here you have to pay the fee. What fee we have to pay? Pecuniary jurisdiction with regard to the payment of court fee. Okay. And the court fee is of 1870. After that, the suit valuation 1887 came enacted. Okay. Roll number 34. I have got a message. Roll number 34. Just a minute. $51. You please on your speaker and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Roll number 51.
51 and
So
So
38.
37.
So 38.
37.
54.
37 and 28. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So 54.
54.
11.
Okay, sir.
Sir, roll number 32.
11 and 52.
Sir, 32.
Okay. Yes. Now, so far as the valuation of the suit is concerned, now the question is who valued the suit? Who decides? Because civil code has the pecuniary jurisdiction means, for example, in case of Delhi, if the suit value is of 1 crore up to 1 crore, it shall be filed in the court of civil judge junior division. More than that, if it is of 1 crore 1 lakh, civil judge senior division. And every state has different rules. Pecuniary jurisdiction is decided by the High Court with the consultation of state government. And there is no uniformity and nothing is given in the CPC. For example, in case of UP, it is I think 1 lakh. Every state has different pecuniary jurisdiction. Civil judge junior division, and you must be knowing the hierarchy of the civil court. Civil judge junior division and civil judge senior division. After that, who is after civil judge senior division? Tanmoy.
Sir,
Hmm.
I don't focus on the hierarchy so much.
You don't?
I don't stress much on the hierarchy of courts. No idea much.
You should have an idea now, because the very first thing is this: you have to. Well, yes, but you will not go to the district court. You will go to the High Court or the Supreme Court, huh? And that is my point. In civil court, in civil side, because hierarchy of the court is totally different. Different in the sense it is totally different from criminal hierarchy of courts. Appellate jurisdiction is very much begins in the district court itself in civil matters. Why did I ask you okay, who is after civil judge senior division? The civil judge senior division is the last. Last means if there are only two category of the civil code, civil judge junior division, civil judge senior division. Thereafter, the additional district judge has no original jurisdiction in civil matters, but he has the appellate jurisdiction. That's why we have the first appeal and second appeal in the civil side in CPC. But we don't find first appeal and second appeal in criminal matters. The first appeal is itself filed in the district court, in the court of additional district judge and district judge. Second appeal goes to the High Court. You must have read of the first appeal and the second appeal in the CPC. Okay. So it has to be decided whether this suit should be filed in the civil judge junior division or in the court of civil judge senior division. So who decides this? It is decided by the party itself, plaintiff. Okay. Plaintiff himself values the suit. And it is different thing. Okay, whatever plaintiff valued the suit, it may be objected by the defendant, and a proper hearing is given by the court. Objection may be sustained or may be dismissed, etc., etc. But anyway, it is decided by the plaintiff himself. For filing the suit, it is for jurisdiction, pecuniary jurisdiction, or valuation for the purpose of, or for the purpose to decide in which court this we should file this suit. Okay. The second purpose is when the suit is valued. In civil matters, always we have to pay court fee. How the court fee is paid? It is paid according to the valuation. If you suppose we have valued our suit of the 1 crore, the court fee will go as per Court Fee Act on 1 crore. And Court Fee Act provides a chart and also different section for the calculation of the court fee. We go to the Court Fee Act, we calculate according to the provision given in the Court Fee Act, and we pay the fee. That's why most of the time, suppose in the defamation matters, because we know the defamation may be filed in civil court also, and also in criminal court under IPC, the section 500, and we can also claim damages in the civil court for defamation. But generally we find that the defamation case generally filed in the criminal courts, not in the civil courts. Except some big names. For example, Arun Jaitley filed a criminal defamation case against the Kejriwal, and that was the civil defamation. He filed the defamation in the civil court for many crores, and ultimately the Kejriwal gave his apology. The matter was over. Why it is so? Because it is very easy to claim the damage, whether the 5 crore damage. But simultaneously, in civil side, civil matters, we have to pay fee on the 5 crore first in the court. Thereafter, our suit will be entertained in the court. And what happened in criminal matters? There is nothing like this. Nobody has to pay any fees, court fee. The valuation of the suit is for two purposes. The first, to decide the court, and secondly, to pay the court fee. Okay. In 1870, the Court Fee Act was enacted. After some time, it was observed, within a few years it was observed that because it is totally in the hands of the party, party will value, valuation will be done by the party. It was observed that just to avoid the court fee or just to lessen the court fee, the suit valuations of suits were not properly taken by the parties. Or valuation of the suit at that time, it was observed was not being done properly to avoid the court fee, high court fee. In this light, the Valuation Act was enacted in 1887. What does it say? It just says Valuation Act under section 3 and 4 that the respective state government will make rules, certain rules regarding the valuation of the suit. That's all. It is all about Suit Valuation Act, 1887. Section 3 and Section 4. It just says that the respective government will frame the rules with respect to the valuation of the suit, and the party accordingly will have to follow those rules. Okay, and therefore every state has its own rules with regard to the valuation of the suit. Okay, you just have to go section 3 and 4, and if you can go, in that case you should also see section 7 of Court Fee Act. Section 7 talks about or tells about that how the court fee is fixed. For example, there are certain cases where there is a fixed court fee. For example, in the case of succession and the injunction, there is a fixed court fee. But for others, for example, if there is a immovable property, so there is a method for the valuation of the court fee for the purpose of paying the court fee. For example, in rent cases, it is the principle which is given in section 7 that how if there is a controversy, dispute or the suit with regard to the rent, payment of rent between the landlord and the tenant, in that case the formula is how much the court fee will be paid. A 1 year rent irrespective of, suppose there may be a controversy that the rent was not being paid for the last 20 years. The formula is 12 months rent multiplied by 10. That will be the court fee. In such manners, there are the methods which are given under section 7. You can go through the section 7 for the sake of personal knowledge. Otherwise, and in your syllabus there is only Suit Valuation Act. Under Suit Valuation Act, you have just to see section 3 and section 4. When you will read section 4, so you will yourself decide that we must go to section 7 of the Court Fee Act. As I told you at the outset that both acts are complementary. But in syllabus there is no Court Fee Act. So that is all about the Suit Valuation Act. Anything about attendance and any other question